You know, for half a century, one of the most iconic songs in pop music has been wrapped up in one of its greatest mysteries. We are, of course, talking about Carly Simon's 1972 masterpiece, You're So Vain. And let me tell you, the real story behind it is an absolute wild ride of Hollywood drama and pure creative genius.
This is it. This is the question that has fueled decades of speculation. I mean, people have guessed everyone. Mick Jagger, James Taylor, David Bowie, you name it. For years, the identity of the man who walked into the party like he was walking onto a yacht was pop culture's most delicious secret. So today, let's peel back the layers on this legendary takedown.
So, fast forward to 2015, and Carly Simon finally breaks her silence. And she confirms the song isn't about just one man, it's about three. But the real bombshell, the thing that got everyone talking, was when she revealed exactly who inspired the song's incredibly scathing second verse. And that story, it's pure, unadulterated Hollywood drama.
All right, so who was the target? It was none other than the legendary actor and, let's be honest, notorious ladies' man Warren Beatty. Simon met him back in the early 70s, and her first impression? Well, it tells you everything you need to know about his almost gravitational pull.
I mean, wow. Beatty wasn't just another actor. He was an event. Simon remembers him zeroing in on her like a tracking dog. She was completely captivated, totally swept off her feet. But even then, it seems like some small part of her knew this was probably a little too good to last.
And yeah, she had pretty good reason to be cautious. Beatty's reputation was the stuff of legend. His list of partners reads like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. As Cher famously said, and you gotta love this, Warren has probably been with everybody I know, and unfortunately, I am one of them.
Okay, so here's where the story takes a turn, a wild one. About a month into her relationship with Beatty, Carly Simon found out he was seeing other people, and she found out in the most professionally awkward, personally devastating way you could possibly imagine.
So picture this. Beatty calls her from Los Angeles. He insists he has to see her and flies all the way to New York. He shows up at her apartment after midnight, and they have this passionate night together that she said felt like it was like in a movie. He leaves just before the sun comes up to make an early shoot. I mean, it is the perfect whirlwind romance. Or so she thought.
So, later that very same morning, Simon heads off to her regular therapy appointment. She's still glowing, you know? She starts telling her therapist all about Warren Beatty, how incredible he was, how he just spent the entire night with her. And her therapist's response was definitely not what she expected.
Can you even imagine? Her own therapist had to break the news that she wasn't the only one. The sheer irony, the brutal honesty of that moment, it's just unbelievable. And you know what's even crazier? When Simon later confronted Beatty about it, he apparently just laughed so hard that she forgave him.
But she didn't forget. Oh no. That raw moment of betrayal, that whole cinematic romance followed by a cold, hard dose of reality, well, that became the fuel for one of the most famous verses in the history of pop music. I mean, just look at how directly she translated that experience into the song. You had me several years ago when I was still quite naive. That line perfectly captures that feeling of being swept up by this larger-than-life person, only to have the entire illusion just shattered. It's personal, it's pointed, and it is absolutely brilliant.
But as powerful as that story is, the Warren Beatty saga is really only one piece of this puzzle. The true genius of You're So Vain is how Carly Simon stitched together all these different moments of inspiration, a little bit of serendipity, and pure musical talent to create this one cohesive masterpiece.
This song was truly a tapestry, not just a single snapshot. She'd had that title line, You're So Vain, just sitting in a notebook for a year, waiting for the right music. The opening scene? That came from watching some guy at a party who was literally checking himself out in a mirror. And that iconic opening bass riff? Totally improvised on the spot by the legendary bassist Klaus Voormann. Then, Mick Jagger just happens to call the studio while she's recording. He comes on down and lays down his now famous uncredited harmony. It was just a perfect storm of creativity.
And really, this combination of planned stuff and just pure spontaneous magic is exactly why the song has lasted. For 50 years, people have called it the ultimate diss track. But you know what? That almost sells it short. The real power, the reason it still cuts so deep, is all in the tone.
See, it's not bitter or vengeful. It's witty, it's elegant, and it's just so coolly dismissive. Carly Simon isn't playing the victim here. She's amused. She sees this guy not as some heartbreaking monster, but as someone who is, frankly, faintly ridiculous.
She's not punching down, she's punching up by just rolling her eyes. And that's what makes it so devastatingly effective.
By exposing the vanity of this supposedly glamorous man, Carly Simon elevates herself. She's not the jilted lover. She's the sharp, insightful narrator who sees it all and is just unimpressed. The song isn't just about him. It's about her power. And that, right there, might just be the most fascinating secret of all.